That day on campus, Iori told Kohei that it seemed like their classmates were looking at him differently. Kohei felt the same way. Iori wondered why that was happening. Kohei did not understand, especially since he and Iori had been acting the same as usual. Kohei then asked Iori to go ask them what was going on. Iori told Kohei to do it instead, but Kohei suspected that they might not answer if asked, and that would hurt. When Iori tried to talk to them, one of them told him not to speak so casually to them because they would kill him. That was exactly what Kohei had predicted. Iori called it strange, but Kohei said it was nothing unusual for a first introduction. Their classmates' stares were terrifying. Iori was convinced that something had happened and wanted to find out what it was, but no one was willing to talk to him. Kohei suggested that Iori ask Chisa, but Iori found that impossible, especially since she was not wearing her usual expression, and she would probably glare at him. According to Iori, Chisa had been in a bad mood ever since the Izu Spring Festival. When Iori turned around, he suddenly saw Chisa smiling at him. That made him even more certain that something had happened to him. Besides that, you could feel the murderous intent around him growing stronger. Kohei was sure that Chisa knew something. When Iori approached Chisa to ask her, Chisa told him that he could talk about it in their room after they got home. Immediately, the classmates who had been staring daggers at him stabbed their pens into the table as if they were ready to kill Iori. Iori screamed and demanded that Chisa tell him what was going on, but Chisa claimed she knew nothing, and Iori did not believe her. Chisa insisted that she had nothing to do with it. Suddenly, his classmates threw a piece of paper at him with a message telling him to break up with Chisa immediately, or they would kill him. Iori showed the paper to Chisa. Kohei asked if he and Chisa were dating. Just as Iori was about to deny it, Chisa said they had been dating since before the school festival. Kohei reminded him that if they continued dating, their classmates would kill him. Iori said he would do as they wanted, but then suddenly thanked Iori for choosing to risk his life for Chisa. Iori was baffled, wondering what Chisa was planning. Their classmates started to approach Iori. Kohei asked if he had anything to do with this, but one of them stated that they were only after Iori. Kohei immediately decided to leave the room, claiming he had something to do. Iori tried to stop him, but Kohei refused, saying he did not want them to see that he and Iori were close. Iori shouted that Kohei was his best friend. He also yelled that Kohei had started dating a girl from Aomi University named Azusa 2 weeks ago. Upon hearing that, their classmates immediately stabbed their pens into the table, indicating that they now wanted to kill Kohei. Iori explained that it was because Kohei was his friend and their situations had to be the same so that they could figure out how to escape together. Just as Iori was about to ask Chisa something, she had already left the room. When they were in the cafeteria, they received a lot of letters, even from students in different departments. Iori and Kohei still had not decided what to do when suddenly 2 guys named Shinichiro and Hajime approached them and said they wanted to help. Hearing that, Iori and Kohei were relieved and thought they were good people. However, it turned out that in exchange, they wanted to learn how a perverted guy could use a shaman to get a girlfriend. Iori, however, told them that he had never used a shaman. Shinichiro and Hajime then informed the others that Iori had never used a shaman. Their classmates immediately started discussing something about the mountain behind the empty clubroom. Iori suspected that they were talking about a place to bury him. Suddenly, they invited Iori and Kohei to play hide and seek, but Iori and Kohei refused. They kept insisting and Iori began pleading, explaining that his relationship with Chisa was not what they thought. However, Kohei said that Iori was Chisa's childhood friend. When Iori claimed that Chisa was just someone he knew from college, Kohei countered by saying that Iori and Chisa spent 24 hours together. Iori insisted that he and Chisa were not dating, but Kohei mentioned that they lived together. Out of nowhere, those people started shouting to prepare a shovel, gloves, and a towel. Iori was furious because Kohei's words only made them more eager to bury him. Iori tried to explain his relationship with Chisa again, but they no longer cared. They believed that Iori had taken the only flower blooming in that department, and they also thought Kohei was dating a beautiful girl from Aomi. Kohei attempted to clarify, but they refused to listen. In the end, Iori and Kohei decided to arrange a group date for them all. With that, those people started seeing Iori and Kohei as their friends. Iori and Kohei told their seniors about the situation and begged Azusa to introduce them to her friends. Iori even pleaded, saying it was the same as saving their lives. Azusa asked why Iori did not ask Chisa. Iori immediately ran to Chisa and begged her, but Chisa only looked at him like he was trash. Iori then went back to Azusa and told her that Chisa was in a bad mood. Azusa agreed to introduce her friends, but on one condition. Iori had to pretend to be Chisa's boyfriend until Chisa told him to stop. Hidori reluctantly agreed since it was the only way to save his life. The next day, Azusa brought a girl to Iori and Kohei. They were both shocked that Azusa had brought a normal-looking girl and thanked her for saving them. Iori and Kohei hurried to entertain the girl. Ryujiro asked Azusa if the girl had entered Grand Blue, which meant she had to become a club member. Shinji asked how Azusa found her. Azusa admitted that she did not find her. Iori and Kohei did. The girl introduced herself as Aina, who had left the Tinkerbell Tennis Club and wanted to join the Peekaboo Diving Club. Kohei and Iori were stunned to realize that the girl was Miss Over the Top. It turned out that after the Izu Spring Festival, Aina had expressed her desire to join the diving club. Azusa then reminded Iori to keep his promise. Aina glanced at Chisa and said she was happy to meet the people in the diving club. Iori and Kohei knew there was no way they could make Aina arrange the group date. That day, Shinichiro and Hajime met Iori and Kohei for their group date. They were curious about what kind of girls they would be meeting and which university they were from. Shinichiro asked what the girls were like.